um, Nitai Chand Prabhu, who's with us here today. He sent a question for Maharaj, but if he has no objection until Maharaj arrives, I can try and answer his question. What do you say, Nitai Prabhu?
Dhanawats to all the devotees. Yeah,
Please.
I don't mind.
I mean, obviously, it would be better to hear from Maharaj, but Maharaj isn't here, so you know.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to hear, Prabhu.
All right. And then if Maharaj comes in the meantime, he can also give me that. Where is it? Okay, so I'll read your question, Nitai Prabhu.
Sure.
This is the question from Nitai Chand Prabhu. It says, Srila Prabhupada used to say a lot, back home, back to Godhead. There are some devotees that think we were in the spiritual world once upon a time. If this is the case, then that would mean the souls in the spiritual world can fall down. However, that is contradictory to scripture, which states that once in the spiritual realm, you cannot come back to the material world of repeated birth and death. So my question is to Maharaj, how to deal with this topic, as it's a bit of a debate with some devotees in ISKCON. What's the actual answer to this? And also, what was Srila Prabhupada's clear teachings on this? So, well, it is a bit of a debate, no doubt. And there are places in Prabhupada's books where he said, you know, we fell down from Krishna, you know, we've fallen from our original relationship with Krishna, something like that. So, but as far, I mean, I've read all of Prabhupada's books many times, and I've never come across an actual statement where he says we were in the Leela of Krishna and due to envy we fell down into the material world. I've never seen that. If anyone can show me that, well, you know, let's have a look. But that isn't Siddhanta. And sometimes in preachings, sometimes people will say, you know, in a general way, because we are envious of God, we've fallen from our spiritual position and have come to this material world. It's a general idea, but it is true that those who are in the Leela of Krishna, they do not fall down from that Leela. That would mean that in the spiritual world, Maya is there, because that's Maya, right? To be envious of Krishna is Maya. That means Maya must have influence over someone in the spiritual world. That's not possible. Only Mahamaya in the material world. In the spiritual world, Yoga Maya, but that's another thing altogether. And sometimes devotees come from the spiritual world for Leela, like Jagai and Madai, who were Jai and Vijay, the gatekeepers, and who were cursed, and as we know. So, but generally, well, not generally, never does anyone fall down from the spiritual world. So we are Tatasta Jiva. Tatasta means margin. Guru Maharaj would explain Tatasta. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Tatasta means like where the ocean meets the land on the beach. So it's not water, it's not one or the other. That line of demarcation. It's not the ocean, it's not the beach, it's the line in between that. And that's what Tata means, Tatasta. And we are that. We are Tatasta Shakti. We are generated from that margin between the material world and the spiritual world. And some of us are attracted by the glitter of the Mayic world, and we come here, and some of us get pulled by the wave of divine, the divine current, and taken to the spiritual world. So this is how it happens. So But at that point, at the point of our, inception, creation, whatever you want to say, we have not been in the Leela of Krishna. It is not possible to be in the Leela of Krishna and then fall down. What do they say? That we were there, we saw Krishna enjoying like anything and thought, I want some of that. And as a result of that, we were immediately cast down. No, it's not possible. You can't be in the spiritual world if you're envious. You can't be in the spiritual world if you have any other purpose other than the satisfaction of Krishna. It's impossible. So the influence of Mahamaya never extends into the spiritual world. So, and when Srila Sridhar Maharaj was told that they're teaching this in ISKCON, that we fell down from Krishna Leela, he became very disturbed, and he said, "Then that means that it's Leela. Then everything is Leela. Then this whole material world is all Leela. Everything's Leela. Then no point in preaching. Everything, there's nothing except Leela." So, and he was so disturbed that he closed the door of his room and he didn't come out of his room for 3 days. And after 3 days, he called the person who was, writing replies to his letters at that time. Actually, it was Sagar Maharaj. He called him and he said, "If you look in Jaiva Dharma, you'll find the answer to this question. And also, if you refer to the Chatur Shloki of the Srimad Bhagavatam, I think he said Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary on that, you'll see the answer to this." But anyway, one thing we can learn, one of the things Nitai Prabhu said was, how do we deal with this when it comes up with our ISKCON brethren? Well, one of them said to me recently, "Oh, it sounds really awful to be Tatastha. I wouldn't want to be Tatastha, in the Tatastha." And I said, it's not a place. It's not like a physical place that you're swimming around in or something like that. It's what you are. You are that. It's not a place where you live or reside. It is what you are. So it's just the nature of the jiva soul. The jiva souls that enter into the spiritual world, they're no longer considered to be Tatastha Shakti. Once they enter into the spiritual world, they're then considered to be part of the Chit Shakti. That means the spiritual potency. But the Tatastha Shakti, the Tatastha Jiva, means he can adapt to either the material environment or the spiritual environment. And so we've come here. But you know what? Something that the Buddha said, which is very good. If all else fails, that you can't persuade them that it's not possible for the jiva to fall from the spiritual world. The Buddha said, if you get shot by an arrow, do you need to understand where that arrow was shot from, what kind of bow was used, what direction it came from? No, all you need to know is you have got an arrow inside you and you need to deal with that now. So similarly, how we came to the material world, where we came from, whether we were in Leela or not in Leela, the bottom line is we're here in this material world. So now how do we deal with that? That's the most important question. Not like how we came here, when we came here, because all of that is something that happens outside of time and space. So you say like when the jiva was created, but the jiva is eternal. So it's not something that happened in time, in a point of time. We can't conceive it because we're only programmed to think within time and space. Everything is relative in this material world. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But that's in this material world. That's under the law of time. But in the spiritual world, time moves in a different way. Mm-hmm. So there is no time when we did not exist. Krishna says that, doesn't he, in the Gita? Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future will any of us cease to be. So it's not that there was a time when we were created and then we, fell into the material world. We're here. We're just here. That's impossible for us to properly conceive that without, thinking, well, there must have been a time when before that. It doesn't work like that. So difficult. But I would say, like, somebody show me where Srila Prabhupada said we were in the spiritual world with Krishna, we fell down from the spiritual world. I don't find it anywhere. And if anyone does, let's have a look at that, and let's look at the context of that, and how sometimes when the devotee is preaching, they may say many things, to the audience, so the audience can get some understanding. Our original position is the eternal servant of Krishna, but somehow, due to our envious nature, we came to this material world to enjoy separately from Krishna. That's as much as we can say, but that doesn't imply that we were ever in the Leela of Krishna. Why would it imply that? Even my Christian friend that I was at school with said to me once, if everything is so perfect in the spiritual world, how come we came here? If we were with Krishna originally and then we fell down into the material world, can't be that perfect, can it? Even he could see the fallacy in that idea. He could see that it didn't have any basis even in logic. So what to speak of scripture? And it isn't anywhere in the scripture. That isn't the Siddhanta of our Sampradaya. And Srila Prabhupada is a Jagat Guru of our Sampradaya. He's not going to say something different to what the previous acharyas have said. And if somebody thinks he did, then they've misunderstood. They've mistaken it. They've mistaken what they've seen, what they've read, what they've heard. Prabhupada will never say something contrary to what the previous acharyas have said. If there's some indication of that, it's a misreading, it's a misinterpretation, and it's a mistake. And remember also, even in Srila Prabhupada's books, some of the things that are in there were mistakes made by his editors. Like, for example, in Krishna book, there are many mistakes in there made by the editors, not by Srila Prabhupada. And they're not important things, but they're, mistakes nevertheless. Like in one place he says that the wind god is Varuna or something like that, when it's Vayu. But, the editor made a mistake when he put that in there. And many little things like that. So I would say, let's first of all see if Srila Prabhupada actually did say that. I don't believe he did anywhere. And definitely it's not the Siddhanta of our Sampradaya. It's not the teaching of the previous acharyas. And Srila Prabhupada isn't going to say something different to what they've said. But yeah, if now we're here in the material world, then what do we do to get out of the material world? It's due to envy, right? Due to our envious nature, our separate interest from the Lord. So that's what we need to deal with: how to become free of separate interest, how to make our interest his interest, or rather, how to make his interest our interest, and solely our interest. Because as long as we keep even a little bit aside for ourselves, we're here. We're not going there. You can't go there to the spiritual world if you have some ulterior interest of even a little bit. Everyone in the spiritual world, 100%, 200%, Srila Govinda Maharaj would say, 200% devoted to the Lord. They have no other consideration except the satisfaction of the Lord. That's how it works. That's how the spiritual world is. how it's made up of the jivas that are there. They don't have any other ulterior motive. But another thing to consider, and I think it's a wonderful thing, actually, we heard from Guru Maharaj, that actually, why Krishna, this is discussed in Jaiva Dharma, why Krishna has puts the jiva into suffering situation. And in Jaiva Dharma, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there that because when the jiva suffers, the Lord is drawn by compassion. He's drawn to give assistance to the jiva. And then somebody says, "Oh, should we? That doesn't seem very good. That we should, suffer for the sport of God." He says, in other words, and then Bhaktivinoda's reply is, "That's because you just got a short-sighted vision. You're just thinking about the short-sighted situation that you're in now. But those who have a deeper vision, they see something else." And what is that? The Guru Maharaj, he said that actually, if you think about it, the only real reason this material world exists is so that Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev can come to rescue the fallen souls. That's what he does, right? That's his Leela. That's how he enjoys the Madhura Rasa of Krishna. He enjoys the distribution of that. Odarja Leela, it's called Odarja Leela. And his main purpose, if you like, or at least externally, his main purpose is the as Guru Maharaj says, the Lord's loving search for his lost servants. Mm-hmm. And we're those lost servants, right? So if there were no fallen souls in the material world, he wouldn't be able to enjoy the pastime of rescuing them. So, that's a really wonderful thing if you think about it, that it's all set up just for the Leela of Mahaprabhu to come and rescue everybody. So in that way, nothing to worry about. We think that we're in the faulty plane, but in the Lord, from the Lord's perspective, everything's perfect. He has his perfect plan is that he comes to the material world to save the fallen jivas, without the jivas making that choice, if you like, to try to enjoy separately from Krishna. No jivas to rescue. So it's all part of his Leela, ultimately. But from our perspective, our short-sighted perspective, we see suffering and we see all of these things that are happening here. But if we look a little deeper, we'll see that everything's okay because it's all ordained by the Lord. And the Lord is only merciful and kind. He's Patita Pavan. He's Dinabandhu. He's the friend of the fallen, the savior of the fallen. So then, a wonderful thing, this material world, that we can be rescued by Mahaprabhu, and his plan is not to leave anybody behind. So I don't know if that's like a comprehensive answer. I'm sure Srila Janardan Maharaj would have given a different reply, or like more inclusive, more deeper perhaps reply. But as best as I can say, I'm surprised that that's still a thing that's going on with them in ISKCON, that they're still hanging on to that, because no other branch of the followers of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur maintain that at all. No one in the Paribar of Bhaktivinoda Thakur maintains that stance at all. Okay, so we still nothing from Srila Janardan Maharaj. I think I think we'll have to abandon it for the rest of the evening unless anyone else has a question or wants to say something, and you can just hang on for a while. I mean, I've got nothing else to do, but maybe everybody else would, as Mark doesn't seems to be a no-show for whatever reason. Maybe we need to shut it down now. It's like an hour, so we've already been waiting an hour. What does everybody want to do?
Mostly, I don't think Maharaj is going to show now, is he? I've
No, I
messaged
don't think
him.
so. Yeah.
And, he had. Oh, he's last in at 1920. So he has been on his WhatsApp. Obviously, he's tied up, isn't it?
Yeah, he must be engaged in something important, or or for whatever reason he's not able to join with us, it seems. So perhaps we should call it an evening. Huh?
I have a question. I don't know if we have time for that, or you would
like
to address it.
Of course, yeah.
I haven't really formulated, but I was reading today in the Jaiva Dharma. At some point, Rajanath and Babaji gets engaged into this cunning, speaking about one of his cousins that is trying to bring Rajanath away from his spiritual master by talking, nonsense. But then at some point, Rajanath says, oh God, he's like fully aware that his cousin is actually doing this and is trying to drag him away from his spiritual development, or he wants to take sannyas, etc.
Yeah.
Rajanath says, oh God, please help me that my regard for Sri Guru and Vaishnavas may gradually become stronger, and that it may not diminish due to the craftiness of cunning men. My question is, we read through the scriptures that the devotees always ask, please God, be merciful to me and allow me to be around the devotees, or allow the devotion to grow in my heart. Is this something that is valid for us as a real fallen souls, that to ask that to Krishna? Or is kind of like a question that I should actually ask to the devotees, please give me your mercy so I can be relating to you? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, actually they're not different. The mercy of Krishna and the mercy of the Vaishnava is the one and the same thing. So it's not that, because we're fallen, we go to the Vaishnava, and when we're not fallen, we'll be able to go directly to Krishna. It's never like that. It's always, the Vaishnava is always there. And it's not that that we just need him or her as an intermediary at a particular stage. Always, everyone has their master, always, even in the Leela of Krishna. No one is, directly serving Krishna except Srimati Radharani. Everyone else is serving under a master or mistress, or, they have their, the Vaishnava is always there. And Guru Maharaj is saying, we shouldn't think that, that person is like blocking us, getting between us and Krishna. But rather, he said the Vaishnava is not opaque, but the Vaishnava is transparent. And they have this, in India, they have this phrase, Satapatanai. It means that when you're making a garland of leaves or petals, that the needle may go through 100 leaves or 100 petals immediately. But it's not immediately. Each one it passes through, there's some fractional difference in time, but it's so small that it's immediate. So when we invoke the mercy of the Vaishnava, that travels through the Guru Parampara immediately to Krishna, to the lotus feet of Krishna. And actually, without the connection with the Vaishnava, there isn't any connection with Krishna. It's always through the Vaishnava. In the fallen state and in the liberated state, it's always there. Guru Maharaj said, you know, we won't get first rank service to Krishna because those positions are already taken. Mother Jashoda, Nanda Maharaj, Subal, Raktak, you know, the cowherd boys, the cowherd girl, they're already established there. He said, so maybe not even like second rank, but third rank. So das, anudas, it's not just hyperbole or, you know, like a poetic statement. It's the actual fact. The servant of the servant of the servant of a Vaishnava. That's our aspiration. So, yeah, and you can pray directly to Krishna also. It doesn't mean you never pray directly to Krishna for his mercy. But we should understand what is the agency of his mercy. And the agency of his mercy is the grace of the Vaishnavas. It's a, you know, always there. When we pray to Krishna, please give me your mercy, Krishna gives his mercy through his devotee. So it's that's the agency through which he likes to distribute himself. You take Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is directly the disciple of Krishna. In this situation, Krishna is directly instructing Arjuna on the battlefield. And this is called the Bhagavad Gita, right? This conversation. But what does Krishna say to Arjuna? He says, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. He tells Arjuna, try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. But he's already with Krishna. Krishna is his spiritual master directly. So what it seems redundant, but why he's telling that is because he wants to establish this is the method by which I distribute myself through my devotee. And if you approach the devotee with pranipat, which means like exclusive regard, it doesn't mean, you know, that I only love you, Guru, and I hate everybody else. No, it doesn't mean that. It means that I'm finished with the prospect of this material world, and now I've come to the lotus feet of the Vaishnava, and I'm surrendering to you. This is called pranipat. I don't want anything else in the material world anymore. Might be addicted to so many things in the material world, but I don't have any aspiration for any of that anymore. And then pariprashna, which means proper inquiry or relevant inquiry, not just, you know, curiosity, you know, trying to satisfy our curiosity, but what is relevant to us. Guru Maharaj said, where you are now, you should analyze yourself and try to understand deeply where I am now, what the deficiency in me is, what I need to go from here to go there. That should be the nature of our inquiry. That is pranipat. One of our sannyasis, he asked Guru Maharaj, could you explain to us the 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam? And Srila Guru Maharaj's reply to him was, first you should learn what is an appropriate question for your spiritual master. I do not consider that to be an appropriate question for you at this stage. So then that's important, that the inquiry must be relevant. And, you know, Guru Maharaj also said once to one devotee who was like bombarding him with questions day after day, he said, I'm not an inquiry booth. Like, you know, that's not what I'm here for, just to satisfy your curiosity. I'm not an inquiry booth. And this devotee was writing a book about Christianity, like trying to bridge the gap between Christianity and Vaishnavism, and so he was asking many questions about Jesus and, you know, Christian theology, and Guru Maharaj was giving like fantastic, beautiful, wonderful answers. But after maybe 3 or 4 days, Guru Maharaj said to him, Prabhu, your questions are like straw to me. And that devotee was like shocked. Oh, you've been giving so many nice questions, and now you say it's like straw. And Guru Maharaj could see, like, maybe he was a little bit taken back. Then Guru Maharaj laughed and said, of course, straw is also food for some, but not for everyone. So pranipat means, you know, to give, pariprashna means to inquire, but relevant inquiry. What will actually help you to progress in your spiritual life, to get from where you are now to go there, where you want to go, where we need to go. That's pranipat, pariprashna. And last but not least, sevaya. You have to serve. And you know, why do we have to serve? Because in the spiritual world which we are aspiring for, every living entity, every atom is a serving atom. So unless we can develop the ego of a servant here, then it's not possible for us to ever go there. So that's important, that seva, not just like armchair philosophy, but actual real seva means, how can I satisfy you? How can I satisfy my Lord? This we have to understand. We are for him, but in which way are we for him? We are, our only purpose of our existence is to satisfy him. But how do we satisfy him? In which way do we satisfy him? Through service, but service means under the direction of a Vaishnava. It always means under the direction of a Vaishnava. In the material world and in the spiritual world. Everything is going on in the spiritual world. Everyone has their service from their master or their mistress in Vrindavan. So, pranipat, pariprashna, sevaya. Upadekyanti te jnanam, jnaninas tattva darshina. That he can show you the truth because he's connected with that truth. Only someone who is actually a devotee of Krishna can give you Krishna. That's not a redundant statement that Krishna's making to Arjuna, because Arjuna, he's our proxy in Bhagavad Gita. He's representing us in this scenario. He's us, and he's asking Krishna, and Krishna is taking the role of guru, and he's instructing us through Bhagavad Gita how we should progress in spiritual life, how we should live a spiritual life. The whole of Bhagavad Gita is instructing us through Arjuna. So, yes, we can ask Krishna, please, Lord, you know, let me always remember your lotus feet, never to be taken down in the material world through bad association or whatever, whatever that the tenor of that prayer is. But we should understand the agency of that is always the Vaishnava. So whether you pray to Krishna directly or whether you pray to Krishna's devotee, the result's the same. The mercy of Krishna always coming through the devotee of Krishna. It's a simple thing, a simple transaction. And why does Krishna like to do that? It's because Krishna has one, like a defect, you can say. Maybe that's the wrong thing to say, defect, but he has like a problem. He has a little problem. His problem is that he wants to grace his devotees. So he actually wants to serve his devotees, but they will not let him. No, we are the servant and you are our master, and that relation, we can't like change that relationship. So that kind of has a little problem for Krishna, because he wants to give some service to his devotees, but they won't let even like a millimeter of that to come to them. So how does he solve that? By giving us fallen souls the opportunity to serve his devotees. In this way, he gets the satisfaction of his devotees receiving service. This way, it's like a transcendental symbiosis. Krishna can't serve his devotee, so he lets us serve his devotee. And this way, Krishna serves his devotee. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful transaction. And that's what Krishna consciousness is all about. So I don't know if that answers your question, Balguni, but something from me.
It did. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
So anyone else? I mean, I'm pretty sure that Maharaj isn't coming there, isn't it? I think.
Yes, next one. Dandavats, everyone.
Dhanavad, Ananta Govinda Prabhu.
Yesterday was the disappearance day of Srila Gurudev. If you can give us one of your personal experience in one of his world tours to London.
Yes, Prabhu. He came to London 23 times during his world tours, and maybe he had 24 world tours, but 23 times out of those 24 he came to London. And because he considered London to be the service place of his Guru Maharaj. When we wanted to open a center in London, we wrote to Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and his reply was, my Guru Maharaj wanted me to preach in London, so I consider it my own place of service. If you can establish something in the name of Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Math in London, I will consider this great service to my Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And so when Srila Govinda Maharaj would come to London, he would always say, this is my Guru Maharaj's mott. This is my Guru Maharaj's mott. And you know, that's wonderful, but it's quite a heavy thing, really, because, you know, all around the world, he had so many motts, but they're his motts, if you understand that. So then he's very, as you know, Gurudev is very tolerant and very liberal and allow many things to be done there. But in London, he won't allow anything that Guru Maharaj would not allow. So, you know, we've got like another level standard that we have to try and maintain for his satisfaction. Like, for example, one of our god sisters, she said to me, she's from South India, and she said to me, do you know, I know some like South Indian dancers who can come and do Krishna Leela for Gurudev when he's here in London. Would you like, we can arrange it in the temple in London when Gurudev comes? And I said, no, that's impossible. You know, if I did that, Gurudev would never forgive me. And she said, oh, but I saw in Mexico they did this, in Russia they did this and this. I said, yeah, because these are his motts, and he will tolerate that. But in Guru Maharaj's mott, he will not tolerate that. We never saw anything like that in Guru Maharaj's mott in Navadri, and he would never do that. Even in London, when the children would do a play, you know, like a Krishna Leela play, he would come and see that, but he would always say to me, every time he would say, I'm only going because it's the children. I won't come and see adults doing this kind of drama, only because they're children. So we tried and still try to maintain that standard as much as possible by us. But yes, Gurudev, so he came, but still he came like 23 times. And that means sometimes, not every world tour, but some world tours, he came once and then came again on the way back, once going and once coming back. So, you know, it was important to him to come to London, always important to him. And of course, his main like little pain in his heart was that our temple was so small, and still is in the Green Street Temple, so small that, you know, we couldn't fit everybody in when Gurudev was there. It was like bursting at the seams. So, yeah. And so he wanted a bigger place, and we know miraculously he got that. He got that wonderful, the temple, the West London temple, which is miraculously manifested on the very day of his passing, the very evening before his passing, the papers were signed for that. So like a miracle, the final miracle of Gurudev's desire. And he said he wanted it to be near one of the London airports. He wanted it, and as Janardan Maharaj says, if it were any closer to the airport, we wouldn't have to go through immigration. It's like that close. You can in the car. Oh, in the car. Oh, Maharaj is calling me. Hold on. Janardan Maharaj is calling me. Just one moment. Okay. Is everybody still there? As Maharaj is going to connect now with us.
Yay.
Jai.
Okay. He was booking tickets. He's going to go to India. So he should join us in any minute now. Hopefully. Okay. Anyway, until Maharaj arrives, we were talking about Gurudev's coming to London, and there's so many things that we can say about that. But oh, here we are. Here's Maharaj is here.
Jai Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hey.
Let's see what I do here to, let's have some sound. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't have a microphone connected right now because I was in a hurry to get online.
It's okay. We can hear you nicely.
Dhanyavad, Ishanuga. Dhanyavad.
Nice to see you.
Nice seeing you. So you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm pretty late. I've been booking airplane tickets to go to India.
Yeah.
Then I booked Asha Maharaj's and Puri Maharaj, and now I'll see if I can book mine. If I can go through London, I'll try to go through London if it's not too much more expense.
Jai.
Okay. So,
Dandavad Maharaj.
Dhanyavad.
Maharaj, let us know. We can cover the rest, the extra cost. We'll be happy to have you.
Yeah, the only hitch would be is if I go to London and then can't get on, if I catch COVID there and then I can't go on to India, that would be a drag.
Nah, you'll be okay, man.
Can just stay in London.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, he's safe.
So, you know, all this happened on Sunday. Dhanyavad Karuna.
Dhanyavad Maharaj.
Woo.
Okay, so all this happened on Sunday because they were talking, well, when are you going to do something about India and everything like that? And I said, well, you guys were supposed to arrange everything. You were supposed to coronate Nariha Maharaj and everything. And they said, well, yeah, but he's staying in Shingapali and it's too difficult. So then I said, well, do it somewhere else. And then we decided somewhere else. And then they said, what date? And I gave them a date. And then they said, okay. And then they said, will you go? And I said, yeah, why not? So that's how I'm going. I'm going because I said, yeah, why not? Now I have to put my money where my mouth is. So, okay. All right, good. I'll do that. I'll go. I mean, it's been too long. Nobody's gone to India for years. And it's a total big mess there. And I'm not talking about Vrindavan. I'm not going to Vrindavan. I'm going to Bengal, where all the commotion is and all the fighting and everything is going on. So, you know. And Bengal state right now, without considering what's going on in our mission, is a total mess. It's very encouraging. Jairam, one devotee, said that the central government was thinking of putting Bengal under martial law or something. There was so much.
Oh my God.
Huh?
That's serious.
Well, I don't know. It's all political stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Maharaj, can I ask you about your timings for coming to London for the festival? Because we like to book your ticket also.
When is that?
Well, the festival is on the 13th of August.
Okay, so when is 13th of August? All right, and that's when the festival starts.
Yeah, that's the festival day.
And when is Janmashtami?
1 week after that,
Wow.
more or less. 19th, I think it's the 19th,
Wow.
and then 20th.
So then maybe I could go there a little before the 13th and come back. Maybe come back. Maybe I can even stay for Janmashtami. I don't know.
Yeah.
We have deities here and we have Hindus here too. So it's a little bit of a, it's good. But to be honest, I mean, sure, Janmashtami is very important, but we give more importance to Gaur Purnima and to Gurudev's Avirbhav and all that kind of thing. But Janmashtami is certainly very important also, but it's not important to me. Not as is important to me as Gurudev's appearance and Mahaprabhu's appearance. And I'm not trying to make any offenses to Lord Shri Krishna or anything. His day is very important. And it is important to me, and I want to be either in London or in America to celebrate it, but I have to consider that and other factors too.
Yes. And 12th, so if we're holding the anniversary festival on the 13th, but the 12th is Baladev Purnim. So just so you're aware of that also.
Okay, so then that's good.
Yep.
What day of the week is the 13th?
Saturday.
And Janmashtami is on which day of the week?
And I think it's Saturday as well. Or Friday. I think it's Friday. And Nandotsav is Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
I just have to
Do
step out from the...
you have many devotees of Prabhupada there?
Not so many, no.
And they'll all go to Bhaktivedanta Manor or ISKCON anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Coming.
But any devotees of Prabhupada are in the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat there? Or mission? Yeah, Mat. It's the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat in London. Any devotees of Prabhupada there?
I think they're only in ISKCON.
None in either of the London temples?
There is one disciple of Srila Prabhupada that comes to Green Street on Sundays.
Okay, well, we have a bunch of them here. I mean, that are in our mission. Like I'm going to India with Ashram Maharaj, and not in the same flight. We're all going different flights, but going in there, Puri Maharaj, Bhakti Bandhava Puri Maharaj, and Ashram Maharaj. They're both disciples of Prabhupada.
Maharaj, which route are they taking to India?
Different routes. One is going by one. They're both. Ashram Maharaj is going through Turkey, and Puri Maharaj is going through Qatar. And they fly to. I mean, they're flying direct to Turkey and direct to Qatar, because otherwise it would be super expensive. And I mean, by super expensive, I mean like $2,500, $3,000 per ticket.
Crazy.
Yeah. So you said there were some questions.
Yeah, I tried to answer to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
But maybe Nitai Chan Prabhu was the main question. His question was that, in ISKCON they say we fell from Krishna Leela, and what did Prabhupada actually say about that, and how do we broach that with them when they say that, or something to that effect.
Well, you know, first of all, that I might be able to understand that Parsha devotees come by their own volition from Goloka Vrindavan down to here. I can think that in terms of my Gurudev, that he's an eternal Parsha devotee of the Lord, and if he wants to come down to the second category of Madhyamadikari for the purpose of preaching, he can do so, and he can come from the divine realm down to here. But as for the devotees, as for persons who come into this material world, I will not think that an eternally liberated soul has come to this material world or fallen down. So how is that possible? And if you're not an eternally liberated soul, how do you get entrance into Goloka Vrindavan? And I thought going to Goloka Vrindavan, you never fall again. Going to that world, once having gone, one never comes back. I mean, that was my understanding about that divine realm. Now, if you're saying, do I think Prabhupada's wrong? I'm not thinking anything. My position is a lot different than Prabhupada's. I am in the quicksand of this material world, and I'm not really so concerned how I got here. I'm more concerned about engaged in devotional service. Let's see. Hello? Is who? Oh, you should call the temple number, because I'm upstairs and she's not here. Who's calling? Okay, or you can try 831-462-4712. But my understanding is, I think she might have already, I don't know if she's still here. Let me just, if you don't mind, I'll just check one thing. And I'll just stay on the line 1 second, okay? All right. And where are you calling from? I mean, is it her? In regard to her what? Okay, I don't know. Well, try the other number I gave you, 831-462-4712, and just ask for her. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So anyway. As all I heard is the example that when you're in a well, and somebody throws you a rope, you're not so concerned about how you got there. You want to get out. So anyway, that's not a good example perhaps, but we're in the well of material existence. How did we fall into it? All right. Go hire some, what do they call it? That DNA tracing service and all that, and trace back innumerable births in this material world, and see what your origin is and all that. I mean, whether you came from, I think it's a little audacious to think that someone thinks that they fell from Goloka Vrindavan. I mean, I personally think that Prabhupada said that, but I don't think it was a major philosophical point for Srila Prabhupada. Or if it is, okay, if it is, then, then maybe I'll say maybe maybe I'll have a building fall on my head, but I'll say it's wrong. Maybe I'll say it's wrong because, and how can I say that? Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave an example. If my Gurudev spells a word wrong, am I going to insist that all the dictionaries in the world are wrong, or am I going to just correct it? So, you know, if Prabhupada said that we fell from Vrindavan, from Goloka Vrindavan, and it's not correct, then just correct it in your mind. You know, but let's not belabor the point. How is it, you know, is it possible that Gurudev makes a mistake? I mean, I told you I would be on this Zoom meeting at what was it? I told you I would be here at 6:30, and it's already 8 o'clock, right? And I told you, and then say, oh, how could Gurudev make this mistake? He said he would be here at 6:30 and he didn't show up till 8. Why is he making mistakes? Well, you know, whether I actually am in that category of qualifying for Gurudev's card, you know, Gurudev, you know, the gold card or not, you know, that's a topic for another discussion. But just, you know, how can somebody make a mistake? Well, you know, like someone can, and maybe did he make a mistake? I don't know. I don't know what consideration was Srila Prabhupada's when he said that the Jiva souls came from Goloka Vrindavan. My understanding is they come from the Tatastha plane. But, you know, even some persons will argue about that point. Although I believe that Guru Maharaj said that, and it's in Bhakti Vinod Thakur's scripture, right?
Yeah.
The Tatastha Vichar or something like that.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to argue with Gurudev or argue with Bhakti Vinod Thakur or argue with Guru Maharaj, I mean, they can do so. But as far as I'm concerned, this is not one of the major themes of my devotion. You know, how did I get into this material world? I mean, first of all, among all of you, is there anyone who doubts that they're in the material world? Does any of you doubt you're in the material world, or that you're from another level of existence? Or maybe this is your astral body here or something, or it's a bad dream that Brahman is dreaming, although Brahman has no personality or no individuality or anything, but Brahman is having a nightmare or something. You want to dream? Do you want to believe that? Go ahead and believe that. All I'm considering is I'm in this world. I've lived so many years in this world. How many years I have left in this body, I don't know. And I'm just trying to go on with devotion and whatever energy I have left. That's my concern. All these didactic concerns about, you know, what is the nature of the Jiva soul and others. I mean, that may be concern to others. I think that was one of the major concerns, or maybe not the major concern, but I think it's a concern, maybe a minor concern, but it's a concern, I think, of Tyagi Maharaj as to why he's not active in the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, because of his concern of nuances like this that fit into the realm of jnana marg, you know, of the realm of knowledge. And in reaction to that statement of Srila Prabhupada, there were two devotees. I believe their names are Kundali and I don't know the other, but he's now he's now one of the Babachis in Vrindavan. The two of them wrote a paper in ISKCON that said, "Not a leaf falls from Vaikuntha." But anyway, Prabhupada didn't say that they fell from Vaikuntha. He said they fell from Goloka Vrindavan. So I guess they would also say, well, people don't even fall from, if not a leaf falls from Vaikuntha, how can anyone fall from Goloka Vrindavan? I'll say, you know something? In relation to that question, I don't really have much interest in researching it. I mean, I could go look and see. I mean, I haven't heard directly Srila Prabhupada's statement. I've heard it repeated over and over again, you know, that Prabhupada said that the jivas fell from Goloka Vrindavan. Now, when did he say that and under what circumstances? Is that really in the realm of fact that he said that, and they can state and they can cite the reference, etc.? Or is it one of these Prabhupada said statements? Who's read it? Have you read it?
No, I've not read it. No, I've read things which they may say allude to that, but I've never read that from any of his books directly that he says we were in Leela with Krishna and we fell down to the material world due to our enviousness or whatever, for whatever reason. I've never read that Prabhupada made such a statement.
I haven't read it. Haven't read it, but apparently maybe it does exist because these devotees in ISKCON wrote I don't know if it was attributed to him or he directly quoted from him, but apparently this was a subject of major debate in ISKCON, and a few people might have even left because their fragile faith was affected by where they fell from, whether it was from Goloka Vrindavan or whether it came from the Tatastha Shakti or they just fell off a swing or something onto their head, I might add. You know, so then it became a major concern. People were very disturbed considering this point. And I personally, I'm not concerned very much because first, fact A, am I in this material world or not? I'd say check, I'm in this material world. Do I want to stay in material illusion or not? And no, I don't want to stay in illusion. I'm already in it, but I don't want to stay in it. So then what do I want to do? I want to engage in devotional service under the direction of Srila Prabhupada, Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Govinda Maharaj, Srila Acharya Maharaj, of gurus in our mission, right? I want to engage myself under their direction. Now, if you're a disciple of Prabhupada, okay, you want to engage yourself under his direction. If you're a disciple of Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, then you want to engage yourself under his direction. If you're a disciple of Govinda Maharaj, then you may want to engage yourself under Govinda Maharaj and Guru Maharaj or all of the above. And if you're a disciple of Acharya Maharaj, you may also want to engage yourself under all the above, Acharya Maharaj and all the previous successor gurus. And I see beyond that, do I have any other questions? Yes. What's for dinner or what's for lunch? That okay. I think I've come to the end of my questioning, you know. And so this question about where do we fall from, I have to say I'm a little flippant because it's not of much priority to me. Unless I'm on a plane and then it's falling and then I might give some preference to it. What was the other question?
Falguni was asking about something she'd read in Jaiva Dharma.
All right. Falguni seems to be pretty adept at, I mean, she's seems to be really engrossed in this Jaiva Dharma because a lot of her questions are coming from there.
I'm just a very slow reader, Maharaj.
Oh,
And Devashis replied to the question very nicely, but there was a question about, I forgot his name.
One thing I can say is, unfortunately, I've never read Jaiva Dharma. Did you read it, Devashish?
Yes, Maharaj, I've read it, yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's hear Falguni's question.
I was asking Devashish if we could pray directly to Krishna, or if we should pray to the Vaishnavas. Because at some point there is a conversation, and one of the devotees in the book asked, please, God, keep me in relation with the Vaishnavas and put me away from the material world. So my question was, shall we pray to Krishna? Shall we pray to the Vaishnavas directly? How should be the prayer?
I don't know. When I was a kid, we used to always have this prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Have you ever heard that prayer, Devashish? Anyone?
Yeah, yes, Maharaj, yeah.
Did you ever say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We said that. Now, I don't know if we had a direct red phone connection with Krishna or anything. I doubt it. But we were still saying that. I mean, people pray to the Lord all the time, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, if people are faced with some imminent danger, they all start addressing the Lord. Oh, my Lord, please, protect me. And, by your sweet will, whatever will happen to me is your divine mercy, but please, and then they're pleading to the Lord. And people address the Lord all the time. Now, you can say, well, they don't have a guru or this or that. Does the Lord hear them? Well, that becomes a matter of faith, I guess. Someone thinks that they have a connection with the Lord, and maybe they don't, but still, can they not get any mercy through that channel of a prayer? I mean, does a prayer have to be correctly addressed and everything, and all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted? Does it have to be something that's sedantically correct in order for it to go to some destination, right? But of course, we see in wartime, everyone believes that the Lord is on their side. And how can he be on both sides? Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose, and a lot of people have to die. And, that's one of the ghastly features of war. So I would say the idea that somebody believes that they have a direct connection of the Lord, that seems to me, in one sense, a little illusory, because you hear athletes when they do very well, they say, my thanks to Jesus Christ or to the Lord for giving me this ability and for letting me do this and letting me win this important game. And the opposite side, I don't know if that person is remorseful and thinking, my Lord, why did you fail me or something? But, I mean, it seems to me a little bit audacious, a little bit illusory, even to think that one can just, anytime one has some problem, one can, but prayer is always healthy. So even if, prayer is always healthy. So in answer to Falguni's question, can one pray to the Lord directly? Yes, one can do that, but it's not generally what we as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we don't generally do that. We're praying to Gurudev. We're praying to Gurudev. I mean, the idea of praying to the Lord. Who is the Lord? God? Is that his name, God? Or is it Ishwara? Ishwara, or, you know, is it Ishwara? Is it God? Is that, or is it Bhagavan or Jehovah? Those seem to be a little bit general titles, right? They don't specifically mention to who the prayer is going, but maybe it's being directed towards, you know, some mailbox, and it's received and answered or something to the best of, you know, maybe it goes into this category that this was said by a faithful person. The first faithful person prayed this way, so their faith cannot go undeterred. Their faith will not go unanswered or undeterred if they're really sincere. If they're really sincere, their faith must get, there must be some answer. Now, where was that answer come from? Well, maybe in one sense, under extreme circumstances, maybe it might come from Chaitya Guru, from the Lord within. Gurudev within, the Lord in the form of Gurudev within. Now, Falguni, she's mentioning examples from Jaiva Dharma, I believe, in conversations with persons who are devotees, right? These are not non-practitioners. These are all devotees, right? You can just nod your head. Yes, she says they're all devotees. So then we would assume that those devotees have some connection with Gurudev, with Chaitya Guru, the representation of Gurudev within me, and maybe they'll get some answers in that way. And maybe they can pray that way, and they'll get some internal realization and some internal answer. And yes, can they pray that way? Yes, why not? Why not? I'm not here to censor Jaiva Dharma. You said you read it and these examples happened, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so then Bhakti Vinod Thakur is giving these examples. Can this work? Well, if Bhakti Vinod Thakur says yes, then I would say that I would just bow my head there. Why will I doubt Bhakti Vinod Thakur's statements? And then if you say, well, under what circumstances does it work? I don't know. Keep reading. Maybe you'll find the answer there in the Jaiva Dharma. Maybe it'll give you an example. Maybe you could say, well, who made these statements? Were they saintly devotees? I would assume they're saintly devotees, right? If they're in Jaiva Dharma, they must be saintly persons. Then things must work for them, right? Can these things be done? Well, you're answering your own question. You said these are examples given in the Jaiva Dharma where it's happened. Now, under what circumstance did it happen? Under what circumstance did it happen? Then you can answer that better than me because you're reading. Okay, Nitai Chand, that's Karuna. Nitai Chand's connection. Then I'm also saying Lavanya Moyi. Who is that? Whose house are you at?
I'm in the temple, Maharaj.
You're in the temple.
The
Okay.
office.
Okay, who was that? That was with you?
That was Ananda Swarupini.
Ananda Swarupini.
Yes.
She's from another country?
She's English. I mean, her parents are Italian and Polish, but she's born and brought up in England.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then we have, there is Krishnamoyi. Dhanyavad. Krishna Moy and Ananta Govinda, we saw him. Ishanuga and Devashis. Saraswati, we saw her, she was asking questions. Dandavat, Krishna Moy, can you have a connection now? I mean, voice, you're pushing something, but you haven't said anything, so I don't know if it's working or not. Ya puedes hablar or no?
You mean Krishna Mohini?
Yeah.
I think she was confused because you said Krishna Mohi.
Krishna Mohini.
Dandavat Maharaj, Dandavat to all the devotees, Dandavat.
There is no Krishna Mohi in London, right?
There's Krishna Moya, male, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Dandavat Krishna Mohini. Entonces tenemos todas las tres hermanas. Tenemos Saraswati, Krishna Mohini, y Ishanuga. Okay. Then we have Ananta Govinda, who's also from one of those, the same country originally. Then we have Karuna. We have Karuna, and one thing that says Karuna and another that says that Nitai Chand. And Karuna, we can see her picture on Nitai Chand's, but not on Karuna's. Okay. Then we have Rasaraj in New York.
Dandavat Maharaj. Dandavat.
And Jai Lalita.
Dandavat Maharaj. Nice to see you.
In Norway. And
London.
Huh?
Jalalita's in London.
Jai Lalita, yeah, I meant going too fast. Jai Lalita in London and Tungarasa in Norway.
Yes.
Jai Lalita, do you have any camera connection? No.
No yet, Maharaj. I'm so sorry, but not yet.
Well, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Shama Malini in London. And Krishna Kishore. I don't know if that's Krishna Kishore. Does it include Lakshmi Kanti? So, so
I put this background and it's super weird because it's like Srila Charyadev in the background and it looks so weird. So sorry about that.
So here's, yeah, we're trying to all go to India, to Bengal.
I wish I could go. My goodness me.
So we're going, and I mean, my feeling is like this. You know, after Srila Govinda Maharaj left this world, Acharya Maharaj was chosen as his successor, and you know, there's not like a 10 or 11 year gap in the history of the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. And if someone wants to go to India, they must address that the actual reality that the devotees there are under the divine direction of Acharya Maharaj as they are elsewhere. But if we're going to go to India, we should give some faith and understanding of that fact. And that's what we're going to India about. And someone can say, because we're actually, the phone call was about Niriha Maharaj, and they saying nothing is happening in India because I will never will I back Shanta Maharaj. No, at least that is my thinking. now and in the past. And I hate to use the word never, maybe, who knows, somebody can, but that's my understanding. And then Niriham Marsh is true. He's a young man. What is he? He's like 26 or 27 years old. But he was who Acharya Marsh was training and chose as the person he wanted to become his successor. He stated that. And maybe Acharya Marsh died untimely or passed away untimely, but we're not necessarily ready to coronate Shanta Marsh. So I'm going to deal with this reality. I'm going to deal with this reality, and if it gets me into trouble with other people, so be it. Because in India, the Indian devotees in general, the ones I spoke to, they wanted this to happen. They wanted some answer to happen that would deal with the fact that they don't want to be under Shanta Marsh, and they don't want him running things, etc. So that's what they're asking, and they're not choosing any of the acharyas or gurus or whatever from the outside. This is a reality in India, especially in Bengal, that the person has to be amenable to them, and it has to be someone who will give initiations to hundreds of devotees in Bengal and elsewhere every year. So, and there is no, to me, this is something that has to be addressed. And it's not going to be addressed without going to India, in my opinion. Now, somebody may have other ideas, and somebody would say, well, there are many gurus. Srila Govinda Maharaj named other gurus and this and that, and why can't they initiate in India? Because I would say, I don't believe that's the desire of the people who are living in India. They were following Acharya Maharaj, and not everybody who was a guru was amenable to them. Not everyone dealt with their guru Acharya Maharaj in a way that was satisfactory to them. They didn't like everyone's dealings with Acharya Maharaj. And that's why they don't express faith in some of the persons who are, myself and Ashram Maharaj, we tried to work with Acharya Maharaj. I believe also to a certain extent, Trivikram Maharaj did so. And there were other sannyasis. There are sannyasis in India like Sajjan Maharaj in Calcutta, like Narsingha Maharaj in Shiliguri, and other persons who were there. There's Vishnu Maharaj, who was with Acharya Maharaj. And then there, as I said, there's Ashram Maharaj, to myself and Trivikram Maharaj. We were trying to give some honor or backing or whatever, at least some respect to Srila Acharya Maharaj. So that's the reality of the situation, and that's what we have to work with. And if somebody says, well, why don't you be the guru? First of all, I'm not the guru for India. I don't want to be the guru for India. And to be honest, people already dealt with the untimely passing away of Acharya Maharaj. I'm 77 years old. Why should they have to deal with that? And if they say, okay, Niriya Maharaj is young, well, then try to help him. Try to back him. Try to work with him. And,
Dandavad Maharaj, Dandavad to all the devotees. I think that Well, I know very well for a fact that you and Ashram Maharaj, you supported Srila Charyadev with all your heart, whether you agree or disagree with his procedures or some of his dealing was irrelevant, because you both were always there supporting, and every time he called and he needed, you were there, and Ashram Maharaj were there. And when things got really, really tough, you both went there. And the situation currently in India is unpleasant. And I do believe that we all as a mission have a responsibility to at least, make some statement or do something. Like, we cannot like, oh, it's happening in India, I'm just gonna ignore what is happening there. I don't want to deal with it. I don't think we can do that. I don't think that is correct. Like, it's the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, and we cannot just, the math there was not just a place for that we went just for travel, pilgrim, and a spiritual holiday. It's important that we have to get involved, to do something. And I really, really, really fall down to your feet, because you are doing everything in your power to try to do something, you are being very upfront of what you think and what is going there, and regardless of who agree or disagree. I really bow down to your feet for that, Maharaj. I wish I could go at the moment, but I just can't. I really, really would like to go. And I don't know, be useful somehow, but I cannot go at the moment.
All right. So my feeling is I don't want to sit in judgment of my god brothers or anything like that. I'm just trying to do, along with Ashram Maharaj, Puri Maharaj, Bhakti Bandhava Puri Maharaj from Ecuador, we'll try to do what we can. And if the situation, for one thing, I don't see any, sure, it's going to be plenty hot. It's already hot, but and it's hot in other ways. The situation in India is very volatile, but I think it has to be addressed. I think it has to be dealt with. And if somebody says, well, I don't really respect your decision, and this and that, and then I'll say, okay, and then next time don't vote for me. Oh, I forgot, we're not voted. We weren't chosen by vote. Oh, wow, I'm so sorry. And I'm not trying to sit in judgment of anyone else. Other people go to India, they do what they want to do, but I'll go there, and this is our solution. Many devotees in India told us, well, of all the persons we want to back Nari Maharaj. All right, that's your decision. Then they said, why isn't anyone helping us? And I said, I thought you people were supposed to do that. You were going to do that. And they said, well, we couldn't do that in Nisringapalli. Then do that somewhere else. And then we chose somewhere else, and we chose a date and everything. And that's the way we're proceeding.
I hope and pray that things go better. I know it's Kali Yuga and things just get difficult and difficult and difficult, but I hope that something good come out of this. I really, really praying for that.
Well, yeah, I hope so too. Obviously, we're going there at time and expense. So I hope something good comes out of it also. But I'm hopeful. One of the reasons I'm hopeful is nobody has really been to India in a long time. It's necessary to go there and deal with the situation. You can't just sit at home and go there on a Zoom meeting. First of all, nobody has nobody has a reliable Zoom connection in India. And even if they did, you're not going to get very much arranged. And besides, you know, most people don't speak their language. So let us go and see the situation. And now, admittedly, you know, the situation we're in, 2022. The situation is very different situation, world situation, that when Govinda Maharaj left this world. But unfortunately, I don't have another perspective. I don't have any other perspective than this. My perspective is what the devotees in India tell me, what they want, what they want to happen, who they want to follow. That's the only perspective I have. And I'm operating on that perspective. What Acharya Maharaj said, what the devotees who are the present leaders in India are expressing that they want to do. That's what I'm acting upon. And at least we'll be there and we'll talk with the devotees. And I think now it's necessary that all of us reestablish some relationship with the centers in India. Now, whether that's going to, I was thinking before, well, we lost Navadip. And then apparently we might be losing Nishingapuri. We might be losing that also. But one of the things about Acharya Maharaj is he opened other temples. He opened other temples. Because even if you say, well, we don't know about this place or we don't know about that place. All right. So then do you know of any place? So then we're operating within that. The Acharya Maharaj opened temples, and some of the temples we may be dealing with the villagers of those places. But you know, when I went to India originally in 1971 in February, and practically speaking, there were no temples anywhere. There was no temple in Vrindavan. There was no temple in Bombay. There was no temple in Kolkata. There was no temple in whatever other place you want to name. There was no temples. There was no temples at all. And when we went to Kolkata, there was only a rented building there. And there were many devotees staying in one room of a rented building. So, you know, luckily, I don't have to go back and go through all those same conditions anymore. At least I can go to, maybe I can't go to metropolises where there are big, you know, 7 dome temples or 8, how many dome temples there are, you know. Maybe I can't go to those temples, but there are temples to go to. There are temples established by Acharya Maharaj. And I'm sure the people will greet us. And beyond that, I depend on the mercy of the Lord. But I think going in May, as we're going the beginning of May, it could be a little hot there. Like, I think this week, it's like 38 degrees some of the days. So 38 degrees with about 75% humidity. What does that translate to? 103 or 104 degrees temperature with about 75, 80% humidity. Is that hot? Would you consider that hot?
Yeah, you could make tea with that, couldn't you?
Uncomfortable weather.
Yeah. I don't think I want to make tea. I'd rather make nimble pani. So anyway, I'm going to end here. I know I started late. Please forgive me for that. I've already booked 2 of the tickets. Now I have to book my ticket. If it's feasible for me to go through London, I'll try to do that. And maybe I'd be only there 1 or 2 days going, and then maybe coming back I could stop a little longer. We'll see.
Yeah, Maharaj, keep us informed.
If
we
it's
can,
feasible.
we can help with the cost.
Okay. All right. All right. My dandavats to all of you. Hope you're all well. Okay.
Dandavats Maharaj.
Dandavat.
Dandavats
Maharaj.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Thank you. Dandavat.
Jai Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.
Jai Devashis Prabhu. Jai Saraswati. Jai Lakshmi Kranti. Dandavat.
Dandavats.
Jai Shama Malini and Karuna.
Dandavats Maharaj.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Lavanya Moi, my dandavats. Bhagavan.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Ishanuga. Krishna Mohini. Ananta Govinda, Rasaraj. Karuna. Shama Malini, Jaya Lali.
Dandavat Maharaj. Thank you.
Dandavat. Okay.